Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. And we begin with our top stories. Bamenda plunges into chaos as presumed separatist-led campaign against yellow taxis turns violent with 6 vehicles touched at the 4 stations parked in protest and grounding of taxis across the city. We'll tell you more in this edition of Newscast. And 30 days is a deadline given by the Minister of Public Works to technicians for a complete rehabilitation of the collapsed Bonepopa Yabasi Road. The Minister of Public Works visited the site this August 15 to assess the extent of the damage. He was accompanied by technicians to the site. And today is a feast of Assumption. The Catholic Christians believe Mary went up to heaven, body and soul. Christians turned out massively in different churches across the country to celebrate the virtuous woman. Those are major stories. Details right ahead. Good evening once more. Bamenda in the northwest region of Cameroon plunges into chaos as presumed separatist-led campaign against yellow taxis turns violent with 6 vehicles touched at the 4 stations parked in protest and grounding of taxis across the region. More on the story with our reporter Saleh Sherifa, Annie Collins Annie.
It has been another sad day in Bamenda this Holy Thursday following an attack on a fuel filling station during which 6 township taxis were set ablaze. The incident took place some meters away from where the first taxi was burnt at the beginning of the separatist-led campaign for taxis to change the yellow color. Residents of the neighborhood say the assailants fired several gunning shots before setting fire on the yellow vehicles parked there at the end of the day of work. After their disappearance, some courageous persons came out to help fight the flames, while owners of the cars had only their eyes to cry. Most yellow taxis were seen grounded this Thursday morning in protest against the action of the known state actors.
And tragedy struck melon in the littoral region as a young fisher succumbed to fatal injuries inflicted by her own husband. The incident occurred early on Wednesday, August 14, 2024, and has sparked outrage and calls for justice from the local community. More in the following story. The pain is visible as the community is reeling from the brutal death of Law Elimbe, a 35-year-old fisher. She passed away in the early hours of Wednesday, August 14, 2024, due to severe physical abuse inflicted by her husband. Her family has accused him of a history of domestic violence. Mourning the loss of their colleague, fellow educators are left inconsolable. Law Elimbe, a dedicated teacher, was a beloved member of the local community. Law's younger sister, still in shock, recounts the tragic events leading up to her sister's death. She highlights the violent tendencies of her brother-in-law, alleging that he is responsible for Law's death. A few days before her death, Law had been severely beaten by her husband, sustaining serious injuries, causing internal bleeding.
She had internal bleeding. We didn't know. She did not tell us. because she said she wanted to be with the children.
Following the assaults, the suspect was apprehended by the Melon Public Security Station. The distress among the local women is palpable, with calls for local authorities to take swift action and ensure justice is served.
Authorities should see our husbands, our men, so that they can be more human, such that everyone should be each other's keeper.
Law Olimbi's untimely death at just 35 has left a void in the educational community, especially as she had recently been integrated into the public service. She leaves behind 3 young children who are now orphans. And we take you to Garoua in the north region of Cameroon, where the city is on a brink of disaster as a severe dry spell threatens to destroy crops and livelihoods despite the anticipated onset of the raining season. The region has seen no significant rainfall since mid-July, leaving farmers in a state of panic. Saleh Sharifa completes that story.
Since mid-July, Garoua has seen no significant rainfall, despite the expected onset of the rainy season. The persistent drought has resulted in severely parched fields, with maize crops wilting under the scorching sun and soil cracking visibly. The fields are dry and the maize is being scorched by the sun. The soil is cracking. It's been a month already since there is no rain. This will bring famine next year. Imagine a bag of maize being sold at 35 to 40,000 CFA francs. Farmers are sounding the alarm, describing the dire conditions. They echo these concerns, highlighting the devastating impacts on crop growth and agricultural production. Hamidou Umaru Arabi, the divisional delegate of Minader for the North, warned of the looming crisis, emphasizing the need for urgent action. We consume a lot of these crops and they are the most affected. If the rains don't fall, our households will really suffer. We pray for changes. As the situation grows more desperate, residents are turning to prayer, hoping for a miraculous change in weather patterns before the end of the season.
And 30 days is a deadline given by the Minister of Public Works to technicians for complete rehabilitation of the collapsed Bonepopa-Yabasi road. The Minister of Public Works visited the site today, August 15, 2024. He was accompanied by technicians to the site. More in the following story. In response to the recent collapse of a section of the Bonepopa-Yabasi road, the Cameroonian Minister of Public Works visited the site on August 15 to assess the extent of the damage.
We have to anticipate because for what we are facing here, it arrives somewhere else. That is why I have indicated that our lab should work hand in hand with the company, with the enterprise, BAMS, enterprise, technical team, BAMS enterprise. We're doing very well in order to look for a solution.
The road, which is a vital segment of the regional network spanning 51.3 kilometers, was constructed at a cost of approximately 39 billion francs CFA by Burns, a local construction company. The head of Burns Company was part of the technical team.
Put the concrete blocks, which are called in French GBA, to protect all the zones, so no car can actually go into that area.
The minister's visit came a day after the incident, and he was accompanied by a team of technicians to examine the collapse and implement immediate security measures.
An instruction has been given to Labogine, to Better Council, and also to our ministry, our lab, internal lab, to work in order to assess the entire situation.
Among the first actions or measures taken by Littoral Governor was the banning of heavy-duty trucks from circulating on the affected roads to prevent further damage. In addition, Labogine experts have been instructed to evaluate the situation thoroughly properly to prevent further occurrences of similar issues.
Road user to respect all those conditions. If you have vehicles, it's more than 3.5 tons, just stop because the deviation which is being constructed will support only the vehicles under that tonnage.
The road's collapse has raised significant concerns about infrastructure safety and maintenance in Cameroon. The government's response aims to address the immediate concerns and ensure that similar issues are mitigated in the future. And the collapse of Bonepupa-Yabasi Road comes a few days after JICAM addressed a letter to the Minister of Public Works complaining of the dilapidated nature of roads across Cameroon that affects our businesses. The poor condition of urban roads is leading to significant time and financial losses for companies and economic actors of the country, they cried. More in the following story. Trapped in a crater in the middle of the road, a freight truck is not only losing potential revenue, but also contributing to traffic jam at Entrée B area in Douala.
We are suffering on this road. Leaving Douala to Yaoundé is terrible. Imagine you could travel 2 to 3 times, but now you are forced to travel just once. There is a great loss in earnings.
The deteriorating urban road network in Cameroon is severely affecting business activities. Even small-scale vendors like those in the Tradex Bonadis area of Cameroon's economic hub are feeling the stink.
Puisque la route n'est pas bonne, ça empêche les clients de venir.
Parfois, ils rentrent avec les beignets à la maison. Bon, l'état de la route, là, vraiment, ça nous dérange.
Celestine Tawamba, president of JICAM, expressed his frustration in a letter of protest to Minister of Public Works. He emphasized how the condition of the roads is disrupting the transport of goods to and from ports and major cities, as well as affecting the supply of regional capitals from key production areas.
Nous perdons en argent et en temps.
Tu ne peux pas voyager de Yaoundé jusqu'à Douala sans avoir les accidents.
L'économie a obéi à la production, distribution.
The economy is production, distribution, consumption. If within production and consumption, distribution is paralyzed, you understand that from A to C there is a problem. There is no longer a smooth communication between the different value chains, so there is loss in earnings.
Chaîne de valeur, et donc forcément le manque à gagner il est énorme.
The poor state of the roads is thus significantly hindering economic progress. Many roads in Douala are riddled with potholes and craters, and worse are the roads that pass through numerous neighborhoods where the lack of proper infrastructure hampers development. And to keep empowering local communities as part of the decentralization process, especially in the 6 crisis-stricken regions of Cameroon, 187 councils areas have been embarked to be empowered to stand up on their feet again after the storm brought about by the various forms of the crisis. Saleh Sharifa and Annie Collins-Anye on the story.
With 6 of Cameroon's 10 regions currently plagued by a variety of crises, the government through the World Bank has put in place the Local Governance and Resilient Communities Project to cover 187 municipalities. For the Northwest region, the 5-year Poverty Alleviation Scheme has been launched this August 14 in Bamenda for all 34 subdivisional councils.
It is those village and neighborhood communities that will strengthen their capacity to identify their needs and then come up with community action plans, which will in future will now have projects that will be financed in the various communities.
To the Secretary General representing the Governor, Prologue is a welcome initiative to restabilize local communities bugged by the close to 8-year-old crisis.
These components, cornerstones of Prologue, are tools that can permit this project to play the role assigned by the government of the Republic so as to produce the expected results that are to strengthen citizen engagement to consolidate the social contract.
With no limit for the number of projects to be submitted or sponsored, mayors are ready to mobilize their populations to pull the blanket to their side.
I think we'll be able to develop a project in all these areas, and I'm happy Borough has said it has no limits as far as funding is concerned.
The initiative has been described as one that will empower the common man, as only projects selected and decided upon by them shall be funded, and not anyone decided by the mayors before.
And today is a feast of Assumption, a day Catholic Christians believe Mary went up to heaven, body and soul. Christians turned out massively in different churches across the country to celebrate the virtuous woman. Let's get the echoes of the celebration in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Hi, Cynthia, with the details.
They turn out in their numbers here at the Mary Mediatrice Parish Etuti as they celebrate the ascension of Mary, the Mother of Jesus Christ, into heaven, body and soul.
So we celebrate her today as a model for Christian families. Yeah, so we take our intentions, we pray to her, we beg her to talk to her son on our behalf.
This special day has its characteristics because if Mother Mary was the mother of Christ, and Christ died on the cross to redeem us from sin, and then we too are the children of Mary, and it is normal that we pass through her for intercession.
And we also pray that our Saint Jude, who is our saint, Saint Jude, the saint of desperate cases, to continue to intercede for us too on this day.
In his officiating sermon, Reverend Father Martin Raymond Binti urged the faithfuls to live an exemplary life as Christians.
Mary was taken up into heaven with her soul and her body. And that means Christ has overpowered devil and death till the death, and no fear for the Christian today.
The sacrament of baptism is one of the major elements across different churches on this Assumption Day celebration.
And in Bafia, Christians celebrated at the parish of the Nazareth with a prayer for Mary to intercede for them. The pontifical mass was coupled with the inauguration of the Maria Grotto, moments of meditation for the parishioners. More with our student journalist on internship, Lato Cynthia.
The celebration of the Assumption Feast unfolded in Bafia with a call from the Bishop of Bafia to the Catholic faithful to emulate the example of Mary in a context straightened by abominations.
Notre mère nous aime tellement que tant que le dernier.
Our mother loves us so much. If the last man has not gone to heaven, she does not rejoice alone to be in eternal glory. This is why she permanently appears on this earth, and in the different apparitions, she has come to encourage and stimulate the people of God to follow the same path she followed.
Assure le chemin qu'elle-même a suivi.
The Christians of Our Lady of Nazareth Parish retain an image of Mary as a pious woman, generous in her collaboration with the Lord for the good example of his people.
Une journée de grâce.
This is a day of grace, a day where Christ has shown us that he cannot abandon his mother.
Amant au sol.
Que nous vivons avec la Vierge Marie.
We try to live with the Holy Mary, the mediator of all good and divine. It is with great joy that we are receiving her here. With the inauguration of this Marian Grotto, we feel honored.
Vraiment, nous nous sentons honorés.
The celebration this year also offered the opportunity for the bishop and his faithful to inaugurate the Marian Grotto of Our Lady of Divine Mercy.
Thank you so much, Lato Cynthia, and that brings us to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal the International. Thanks so much for watching. But coming up next is The Brief with Lil Peugeot. As for me, taking a rendezvous, same time, this time around, tomorrow. Good night.